Council,
Seeing none, move to close public.
second.
Motion by Councilman Carr, second by Councilman Hill to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing is closed.
Council, what's your pleasure?
Council President, if I could, prior to tonight's meeting, I had researched, and very little research. I don't own a drone, I'm not an expert on it, haven't done a lot of research on it, but I did receive several emails. Mr. Redpath, I've gotten yours, well structured, as well as your talk tonight. And it was my desire before the meeting to table this ordinance. Not because I'm not in favor of it, I am. I fully support the need for such an ordinance. And I think I heard that resonate from the people who wanted this ordinance either not approved tonight or tabled as well. I don't think there's an objection on having an ordinance or having regulations. The question is, are we doing too much or are we doing too little? And unfortunately, technology is a tough thing to deal with often, especially new technology. We had the same thing with cell phones, and it has become, the first cell phone I remember having cost me $1 a minute to use, and I think it cost me slightly under $1 billion to own or something, and it weighed about 800 pounds. And drones are the same thing. I think some examples here, one gentleman came up here, he paid $15 for a drone. So just the speakers tonight range from young people to older people, hobbyists to commercial. So I think it scans the spectrum. And new technology like this tends to scare us, and maybe sometimes we react quickly. Mr. Rand, I certainly empathize with you. And that's one of the reasons why we put this ordinance together. Having said that, though, I think maybe we need to take a step back and look at the ordinance in greater detail. Some of the things that I was concerned about was one, registration and the cost, same as some other speakers tonight. $70 seems to be a bit of a cost, and when you compound that multiple towns that they have to get, I can see that. The other concern also I had was with the town. If we have to register these things, Mr. Mutter's office is probably going to be inundated with processing permits. Probably won't get any other work done if he's got to process permits all day long for these. And again, they're going to, I think Mr. Redpath, you put it in here, there's a couple hundred, and your last count is probably a lot more, and it's going to continue to grow. So I was a little concerned about the impact the town has on that. So, without belaboring the issue too much, I'd like to make a motion that we table this as well, so that we can do some more research. Again, I want to strongly emphasize that I think there's a need for this, something that we have to watch out for. Privacy issues, but I think maybe we took it a little quick here, and I'd like to table this date uncertain until we have the opportunity with staff to do some research, and certainly if anybody from the public can provide us with some good information, and some of you already have, and some emails that I received, I'd like to table that.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'd like to weigh in second Councilman Carr's motion. I'm hearing loud and clear, from everyone on both sides of the coin. I think we need to do this. We need to do it correctly, and correctly the first time to get it right. I think technology is always going to outpace laws that come up. For instance, when the cell phone laws were enacted, you couldn't be on your cell phone when driving. And we could debate till the cows come home if that's good or bad. But at the end of the day, I think we all know someone that can't walk and chew gum at the same time. And there were already laws on the books. If they're on their cell phone and ran through a stop sign, well, there's a violation there. Failure to observe a stop sign or a traffic signal, or if they were moving along the road because they weren't paying attention, they had to maintain lane. By putting this ordinance out there in its fashion. I'm concerned about, the enforcement of it. Again, Dr. Oleski brought up some good points. I do think we have an excellent police department. And I do believe, unfortunately for Mr. Durante, this was a bad individual that had ulterior motives. I'm disappointed the police department didn't follow through with other charges. Again, not knowing any of the circumstances any more than that. And I'm sure there's a couple others, but I think by and large, it's kids with drones in the parks, individuals, hobbyists, and whatnot. I would also like to, I'd like to meet with different groups and see what we can come up with, together.
So there's a motion by Councilman Cars to table the matter with date uncertain, second by Council Vice President Gay. Roll call. Councilman Carr.
Yes.
Council Vice President Gay.
Yes.
Councilman Hill.
Yes, I agree that we need, it would be nice to get a little more input, particularly with the, make sure we're in sync with the FAA regulations. So I would agree that we need to get a little more input from this before we correct the ordinance. I vote yes.
Councilwoman Maruka.
I've heard from the people that are hobbyists, that are for commercial purposes, but I also heard from residents, Mr. Ramsey, that, this really infringed upon our quality of life. And I will vote to table this ordinance, but I would like to see if we could come up with something quickly after some research is done. I don't want to see this drag out for a few months. I just think we can put something together, maybe come back in May or beginning of June with something there. But I will vote to table this evening, provided we can come back with something that will give something to our residents who are experiencing the invasion of privacy, but also balance as much as we can with the hobbyist and the commercial aspect of it.
Councilman Whitman.
I heard all the comments, and I would like to see this ordinance move quickly forward, because I think the privacy concerns of Ms. Durante that she spoke about, I think, are important, and we need to find a way to deal with those. Because again, I don't think it's appropriate to have a drone in your backyard at 12 foot high flying around in your backyard. And that's my concern, is the invasion of privacy, the impact that the drones can have to residents of the township. I think they should be safe from having a drone flying above their house or on their property, 12 feet above their property. I'll reluctantly vote to table the ordinance, but I think we need to come back and maybe look at it from a different angle, look at it from the privacy concerns, not so much from regulating the drones themselves as much as how do we deal with the invasion of privacy? What can we do to put in place so that if you're using a drone and invading the privacy of property owners, that we can deal with that separately from whether or not someone's going to take a drone and utilize it in a park. I think that's separate and distinct from that. As far as the $70 registration fee, I guess that is somewhat excessive, and I think we need to look at that to reduce that. But I think we really need to look at the privacy, because I don't see that going away. I see that continuing, and I think we need to, the ordinance that we come back with has to deal with that so that the invasion of privacy issues that were raised are addressed.
Council President Manford.
I agree with Mr. Whitman and Councilwoman Maruka's comments. On more than one occasion, my wife and I have kind of been harassed by hobbyist drone people and at parks or at the beach, and I couldn't imagine it happening in my own backyard. It would be twice as bad. I really think with summer quickly approaching, people are going to be out in their yards more. People don't want to, like the woman said, Mrs. Durante, people want to enjoy their backyard in peace and quiet and tranquility and not be bothered by people with drones. I'll reluctantly vote to table this, but I really believe we need to move on this very, very quickly as the summer is approaching and families are going to be trying to enjoy their outdoors more.
So you vote yes to table. The ordinance is tabled.